Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to episode 43 of the Prosperous Yogini Podcast. So I'm attempting one of my mini-sodes today, meant to be around 10 minutes. I do realize that recently my mini-sodes have not been 10 minutes. I can talk for Britain, which is one of the reasons why I choose a podcast as my main source of sharing my knowledge, creating content for you guys. So today's podcast topic has been really inspired by recent conversations that I've had with those in my mentorship program, which has been about celebrating where we are now, being in our own lane, and understanding that progress in our business isn't linear, that we're not always on a straight line trajectory of more. And when I say more, I mean that can be more of lots of things, assuming that we're always going to be making more money, that our profit will always be growing, assuming that we'll always be getting more students coming into our business, assuming that we're always going to be growing people into our audience, such as our mailing list, a Facebook group, an Instagram page, that it isn't a dead straight line of more all the time. And sometimes in our yoga business, we can feel like either things have got static, things have plateaued, or even that things have started to go backwards. And all of this comes from an expectation of growth being a straight line trajectory, and it isn't. And if we want any example in terms of understanding this, then let's go to our yoga practice, because it tells us so much in terms of running our yoga business. So imagine I'm one of your students and I turn up to class and I tell you that I want to get stronger, that I want to build upper body strength. You will know as my teacher that that is going to come from coming to my yoga mat and practicing for sure, but not always doing strength building stuff. So if every day I'm smashing out 100 planked chaturanga with a press up in the middle of it, then that probably is going to lead long term to me giving up, because that's quite hard and not a lot of fun. Let's be honest, quite hard. I'm going to get fatigued. I'm not giving my muscles chance to recover, to repair. And in that moment of rest and repair is where the strength is coming. And I need those moments of rest and repair in my practice to target a different area of my body, to do a more restful practice, for example, to not even do a physical practice for one day. I need those phases within my yoga practice in order to build that strength in my upper body. Okay, let's take that for our yoga business now. So there will be a growth phase, a phase where you are making an additional effort to create something, whatever that might be. I'll use the example of what a lot of people in my mentorship program have been doing recently, and that is putting in systems to collect money, to take online payments, booking systems to ensure that they get a consistent income, to encourage their students to turn up every week, and to reduce friction. And I talk a lot about the process or the power that friction has in terms of putting people off coming to our classes. So my guys in my mentorship program, if it's not already set up for them, they've been making sure they take online payment, making sure they've got a booking system, putting in a block-based system, so people are encouraged to turn up every week, and if they miss a week, that they're still receiving an income, they're still getting paid for their efforts of turning up to run this yoga class. And this can be quite a big effort, like learning how to take online payment, figuring out whether we should use the inbuilt systems in our websites or go to something like Bookwhen, an external booking system. We also have to work through lots of money mindset blocks in terms of, will my students be happy with this? Will people pay what I've been asking? And this all takes a lot of energy, not to mention that brave act of saying, this is happening here, and telling your students. And so many of the guys in my mentorship program have been doing that and achieved. By the way, if you're like, oh, I know I really should do this. Yes, I know you're right, Amy. Yes, I know there's several podcasts on this. I just want to let you know, everyone in my mentorship program who have put in boundaries around class payments, moved to a block situation with a clear start and end date, a booking system, clear terms and conditions, their class numbers haven't gone down, they've gone up. They've now got consistent income, and actually their students are happier because it's easier for them to pay. It's easier then from week to week to know that they've got that place in that yoga class. And guess what? Consistency, because they're being encouraged to turn up every week, class numbers are a lot more consistent. Everybody wins. But that's been a big, energetic achievement to put this in place into their yoga business. So we're now in this phase of, well, what is next? And I said to them at the end of this coaching call, you know what? Coming up to the Easter holidays, what I think is next, it's a little bit of a rest. They were like, what, we need to do this and we need to do that. And there's a 6-module, part of my mentorship program, there's a 6-module self-paced study course. And they're like, and I haven't done this and I haven't done that. And I'm like, hang on a minute, that 6-module program, that self-paced study program actually isn't linear in itself. There may be sections that you want to go to first. There might be sections you want to revisit. And we all get to this stuff when we're ready. I know I've talked about this before, that what if we just accepted we are right where we are meant to be, that this is the right place for us right now, here and now, and that if we were trying to force ourselves to be any further along, that might be stressful for us. So let's take it back to our yoga business. Whatever it is that you've just done, and I've just done a series, 3-part series on getting started, and just the act of graduating from your yoga teacher training course and setting up that first class, that's a big energetic act. Got to understand that everything is relative. What might be a big energetic act in my business at my stage, 14 years on from teaching, will be different to where you are, okay? It's all relative to our own unique set of experiences and our own unique set of energies. But let's say whatever it is that has just been going on, that there has been a big energetic growth period in your yoga business. And at this point, what I recommend you do is pause. And I'm laughing because I'm so bad at this. I am Mrs. Okay, what is next? Okay, I've done this, move on. And I have learned that this just, quite frankly, leads to overwhelm and burnout, and also missing the joy of, appreciating the impact of your efforts. Because that was the other thing that my guys in my mentorship program were at the other week. They were not overly impressed with where they were, but I was like, oh my gosh, guys, look, you've done this and you've done this and you've done that. If you look where you are now to where you were when you started with me, this is major transformation already. And it was like a light bulb moment for them when they paused, when they stopped, and they realized where they had come from and what they had already achieved and created. And the frustration was coming from their beliefs, their mindset, that was somehow they A, should be further along, and B, they should be now doing something else. They should be now doing something more. And what is next? And what we need is time to rest. Go back to my desire to gain upper body strength. Yeah, I'm going to need to do some plank chaturangas, a few push-ups, but I need to factor in time for my muscles to rest and repair. So when I'm ready to do plank chaturanga push-ups again, sure, I'm never ready for that, but that's a topic for another day. And when I'm ready to do that again, that my body is ready to take the next stage of growth. So resting in your yoga business will look like actually possibly diarising times off, making a concerted effort to tell people that you're not going to be on social media, but you may be setting up a little ping on your emails that says, I'm taking a break from teaching. I'll be back on. I will get back to you. You really make sure you set yourself a clear boundary that you are going to not be doing anything. Or what I often do, particularly, for example, in the school holidays, I just cut everything back. So in-person classes stop, group coaching calls stop, one-to-one calls stop. I'm available. I do check my emails. I am available for those on my mentorship program via WhatsApp messaging. But generally speaking, I'm really, really pulling back on the level of work I've got. One, because I know I need that rest. And two, I want to hang out with my family and not be working. And three, coaching calls with them in the background never work. If you're watching this video on YouTube, or you may notice the audio sounds slightly different today, I am hiding out in my garden yoga studio to record my podcast because my house has children and my husband in it. And I've made several attempts to record my podcast. Let's just say it hasn't gone very well. Okay, so let's think about the magic of this rest period. It's not just about recovery from all your efforts. It's not actually just about allowing those efforts to bed in and for you to receive the benefits of those efforts. That, sometimes I've said this before, it's not instantaneous. Like, it's not that I'm going to make a concerted effort to grow my mailing list and to sell my classes to people on my mailing list. That will take some time to grow, to sell your classes, and to filter through to more people coming to your classes. You have to sometimes also give these things time. But there is so much magic in the rest and receive. Now, that's the important word. That is the word of today's podcast, receiving. It is in these quiet moments, it's in these stiller moments when we're off the treadmill of more, or I must do this and I must do this and I have to be here to teach this yoga class and pick up the kids and make dinner and then go and teach. That treadmill that we can so often find ourselves in, that we've paused off that treadmill, that we're giving ourselves space. And in this place, the space and rest, is often when we will receive some gold dust ideas of what to do next. And not just that, receive and then ponder. So this is really important to those of you, if you know anything about human design, if you are a generator or a manifesting generator, and the majority of us are generators. I'm a generator. You won't be surprised if you know anything about human design. But I've really learned this, understanding a little bit about human design. And I'm no human design expert, so need to get someone on the podcast. Happen to know someone. Need to get someone on the podcast to come and chat to us about this. But as a generator, I'm always receiving ideas, and it can be really easy to be very impulsive and go, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. Never finish anything, potentially, or before I notice, I've started so many things, I've spread myself so thin that nothing is achievable. So I've learned in these periods of my business where I'm just taking my foot off the gas, where I'm giving myself a little bit of extra space to either do more stuff for myself, go surfing more, hang out with the family more, go on holiday, when I'm giving myself these spaces of rest, that is in these spaces of rest where I will receive that my next call to action, my next period of growth where I am being drawn to go to. But I have also learned to receive that idea and to then ponder it in my period of rest. And if I'm still super excited about it and I'm coming back to being back into a growth period, then I will pick up on that idea. So today's podcast, I'm trying to stick to those 10 minutes to summarize that progress is not linear. You are never on a straight line trajectory of more. That sometimes our efforts will look like non-effort, non-action, passivity, just like our yoga practice, just like our body will need time. That growth comes from physical growth in terms of growing strength, comes from load and creating damage, that tear, and then giving the body space to repair, to rest, to rejuvenate. Then we go back through the process again. Your business is the same. You have a growth period. You're putting in extra effort into something, whatever it is that really lights you up, okay, that you feel excited about. then you allow that, your endeavors of your energetic growth to bed in. It's like you planted a seed, you've got to let it grow. You've also got to give yourself space for rest, for recuperation, for your own yoga practice, to receive wherever you want to think you're receiving this thing. I like to think it's from source, from the universe, the co-creation, to receive your next spark of where growth may be next in your business. But it's receive and ponder. Check it's definitely something that really lights you up. And then we're off again. We're off into the next phase of growth in our business. So it's not a straight line. It's a ziggity-zaggity line, a winding line that doesn't actually have an end. This is what's really interesting, that there isn't an end goal. There isn't like, I'm going to get to this point and I've made it, okay? Because that's not how we work as human beings. This is expansion, but expansion comes from compassionate expansion. Compassion comes from giving ourselves opportunity to rest. Now, I talked a lot today. I realize I'm going over 10 minutes, but I've talked a lot about maybe those bigger periods of rest, are having some real time out from our business, but also it might look like in every day, are you giving yourself periods to have a sit down, have a cup of tea, have your lunch, go and connect with nature, go for a walk? Are you giving yourself opportunity within your everyday to receive those moments of rest? And then in those moments of rest, we'll receive our best ideas. It's often, just to conclude, if you've noticed, because this happens to me all the time, if you've noticed that you get your best ideas when perhaps you're on holiday, or you get your best ideas where you're like, I'm going to be working, but I've just got this really good idea. This is the reason why that you needed to stop. It's almost like all the action of doing that can come along with growth, or the action, and not even growth, just being in that everyday action of running our yoga business alongside life. Like some of you might be part-time yoga teachers, doing another job, maybe caring for other people, family members, for example. So we may just be not necessarily in growth, but just in the everyday action of our life and running our yoga business. So it's not a straight line. Taking time to rest, to pause, can be one of the most powerful things that you can do for your yoga business, for you, for your body, for your nervous system. Growth is not a straight line. It's not linear. It's an up and down, windy path. Sometimes it can look like it's going backwards. But when you're in that moment of feeling like you're going backwards, I want you to pause and look where you've come from. All right, my darlings, I think I've just about managed a mini-sode. I will see you all next week.